Good evening, everyone. We thank you for joining us on Advocacy tonight for June, Thursday, June the 6th. We appreciate you guys joining us. We have a very exciting show. As you can see, we have a cast of characters on here. We hope that they don't cut up tonight, but we have a cast of characters on here, people that I love most dearly. My son and my niece and nephew, my nieces, of course, that's like my children. We appreciate you guys joining us tonight. We want to talk about growing up with Morgan Pop. We think this should be a great session, very interesting, very informative. The whole purpose of the session is for those that are just starting out this journey, siblings, cousins, what have you. They can give encouragement on how you get through that process, how you encourage others, how you make it through without, falling apart, just like the rest of us. So, with that being said, of course, I'm Paula. I'm Morgan Pop's mom. Again, grew up in the DMV. Now we live in Waldorf, Maryland. Want to introduce you to my cousin, Crystal. I don't normally say that. I try not to slip that out a little bit. But Crystal grew up in the DMV as well. She currently lives in Michigan. She's the mother of five. She's married. Crystal has three individuals that are have various disabilities, and we look forward because they're going to have a show as well. We're missing Bunny tonight, but of course, Bunny is behind the scenes doing her thing. Always a great part of our show as well. So we're going to move forward with having each and every one of them to introduce themselves, tell us who they are, and how they're related to Morgan. We'll start with Jeremy.
So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeremy Butler. I'm Morgan Butler's brother. Uh, Grew up in the DMV as well, I guess.
Can you tell us your age?
Yeah, I'm 23. 23 years old. My birthday in a couple of weeks. I'm about to be 24.
Okay, show us not about your birthday, but let's. All right, ladies, come on.
Hi, my name is Kristen Curry. I'm 19. I'm Morgan's cousin.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kennedy Curry. I am Morgan's cousin. I'm 19, and me and Kristen are twins.
I was gonna say that. All right, Devin.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Devin. I'm Morgan's 24-year-old cousin. I grew up in PG County, and I currently live in Delaware.
Okay, Ryan.
Save the best for last, I guess. Hey, everybody. I'm Ryan Curry. I'm 22 years old. I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland. I live in North Carolina, PG. I'm kind of bothy. I'm Morgan's cousin as well.
Okay. So, guys, of course, for those that don't know, we do not have questions that we have already arranged. So, what we're going to do is we love to have a genuine conversation. So, with that being said, we're going to move forward. Tell us, guys, how, first of all, when did you guys have a understanding of the fact that Morgan has a disability? I know Morgan wears her disability, but tell us when you guys really start understanding that Morgan had a disability and she was a little different, and you guys had to deal with her different. Jump in, guys.
I think when I started to realize it more was when I think me and Kennedy and Kaylin was in me and Kennedy, because Kaylin's younger, me and Kennedy was in middle school, and we used to babysit her and stuff like that. And we when I spend the nights with her and stuff. So I think that's when we started to really see it for our own selves and see how it was to bathe her and feed her and take care of her and stuff like that.
Okay. Somebody else?
Yeah, I'll go Devin. Kind of to piggyback off kind of what Kristen said. Well, me, Devin, as you know, we used to spend the night at Paula's house, all the time. So, growing up, we were always over there. So, just little things like Paula bathing her, feeding her, and then you would get to see the for example, Morgan's pain tolerance. Morgan could jump off the top rope, off the top of the stairs, hit the bottom of the stairs, and get back up like nothing happened. So stuff like that. That's when I started to see Morgan's a little, different than everybody, I guess.
No, go ahead, Jeremy. No, go ahead, Jeremy. Go ahead.
I was saying for myself. I remember when you first brought her home, and I was just excited to have a sibling. I didn't see her different at all. But I think for me, I started really to notice when we started going out in public, and since she was getting different looks and everything like that, I think that's when I really started to pay attention. Like, okay, she's a little different. And then the different times you had to take it to the doctors and things like that. Like, okay, she might be a little different than everybody else.
Davin?
And like similar to what Ryan and Jeremy were saying, we used to stay over your house on Paula like weekends at a time. And I think for me, I kind of noticed it when because like Jeremy said, just being excited to have a little sister. And for those like Mom Paula, when she introduced us, we're like her kids, and that's just the same thing. Like Jeremy's like our brother, like it's flipped. So I was excited to have another additional little sister, and I really didn't think about it in terms of like her being different. But like Jeremy's also said too, it wouldn't be me looking at her different. It would be the different looks that she would get. Y'all know Curry Woodland family, y'all know we're going to Outback at least 2 times a month. Y'all know that's a guarantee. So just watching those looks and how we kind of had to like keep stuff away from her on the table, how she kind of had to sit between, let's say, Paula and my dad, or my dad and Nana, or if you were tired on Paula, she would sit between me, Ryan, and Jeremy, and we would kind of like box her in. So I guess those accommodations kind of made me notice it, but that would be my answer to that.
Crystal, jump in at any time. Because I could take over.
But those are really good observations. And I think those are what we would expect, especially from very close relatives. Like, she's really one of us, but, like other people, and then maybe seeing the extra care that's going into taking care of her daily and all. So I commend you all for that. And I think that you just was like, she's my sister, and you guys are very close. So I definitely could see that. So I guess something else that I would want to know, like the girls shared, like when they would go over and babysit, and like they could just see, and then Devin shared like at the restaurant, you could see that a little bit more was going on than what maybe you saw between one another or younger siblings, like to help her. And so was that something that made it easier for you guys to help her? Like, did it come very naturally? Like, oh, she needs this. We understand her language. Like, how did that do, especially like when you caring for her, how did that go?
I'll start. We'll just work back around. So that's a great question. I feel like it did make it easier. Because, I think we were so young, and I didn't kind of click for me until I was probably about like 13, 14, that, okay, Morgan has a disability, because you're going to school with other people and you're recognizing their disabilities. And I think like just those accommodations, to your point, to answer your question, it did make it like extremely easier. Like people see us struggling to get, if you don't know, like I had a girlfriend a long time ago, and people would see us struggling to put Morgan's seatbelt on. They'll be like, oh my gosh, it's that hard. I'm like, nah, it's not that bad. We've been doing it since we were like 10, 12 years old. Trying to struggle to put her seatbelt on, or trying to not let her take her shirt off, or stop her from hitting her head. Like all that stuff is stuff we've been doing forever. So it's like whenever I come back home and I see Morgan, it's like I just jump right back into that 12-year-old me of just doing those same things. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, I'll hop in. I was kind of the opposite of Devin, and Paula knows I used to be scared of Morgan, because Morgan was just as strong, if not stronger than me. So like, when Paula used to be like, help Morgan, I'm like, okay. Next Morgan's throwing me around, and I'm like, okay, all right, this ain't fun no more. You know what I'm saying? So like to Devin's point, I was kind of on the flip side. Like I had to grow into understanding like the help Morgan would need from us. Because for the longest, I'm like, she can low-key do it herself. She's throwing me around. She'd be all right. Like, but yeah, that was kind of my thought process. I was the opposite of Devin and Jeremy for that.
Yeah.
But to your point, Ryan, you was very small. People look at you now, but you were extremely small.
Too small.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody else want to jump in?
Well, I know for myself, it was kind of easy because I've seen on a day-to-day basis with you doing it, Mom. And I know for myself, like it was just us three. It was always my mom, me, and Morgan. So just watching my mother kind of do things every single day, naturally I felt the need to, kind of step up and give her a break sometimes. So it was times where I would give her a bath, times where I would feed her, do the day-to-day things, saying just to give my mother a break. So kind of conditioning my mind into that at a young age. I guess at age now it's like Devin said, it's just second nature now. So definitely, I'd say definitely was a smooth transition for me.
Girls, did y'all have something?
Yeah, I just add on to what the boy said. I feel like it was easier because we was more aware when it came to like the babysitting and spending the night and stuff. It gave us the opportunity to kind of get to know Morgan when she just like say if she starts crying, she either needs to use the bathroom, she's hungry, just around that time of the month, just little things like that.
And I
I
feel like
love
it
it.
was also,
Mhm.
I felt like it was also easier because we were in our little kid stage, so we were kind of in the stage where we were still learning about life, still learning about, what I'm saying, things, and still really soaking up a lot of information and things like that, rather than doing it later in life when we're already kind of set in our ways and things like that. I feel like it would have been much, much harder. So the fact that we were in that kind of learning stage and learning about everybody, I think it made it much, much easier.
I agree. I know that we had Bunny's family on recently, and she was just sharing how her granddaughter is like really there for her grandson who's autistic. And I think that it's the same like when you're young and you're coming up with the kid, I feel like it's so easier to even communicate because Morgan being nonverbal, you guys had some kind of way to communicate with her to understand her needs. And I think you probably understood it maybe a little more sometimes than the grown-ups, Kennedy and Kristen being there to babysit and Jeremy being there. And you guys like, how did you know, like, were you like, Mom, that's not what she wants or something like that? Or guys like, Paul, I really, Morgan don't want that. She really want this. Did you guys ever recognize that?
Yeah, I would say it wasn't like kind of like I said until I got older and I actually started to understand Morgan. And then when I started to, I didn't grow till late, but grow a little bit more. And that fear kind of went away and Morgan throwing me around. That's when I actually started understanding Morgan's cues. And then like Jeremy like knew everything. Like anything Morgan did, oh yeah, I mean she wanted, oh yeah. So you kind of just pick up because like I said, we used to be there all the time. So we just picked up on it more so.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I do, and this is one thing that I always worried about with Jeremy, um, is I know you guys mentioned something about when we went out and you saw the stairs, and I'm sure you saw the comments. I think one time in particular, Jeremy, I don't know if you remember, but we went to Boston Restaurant, and when we came in, this was called our restaurant week because Morgan used to act out so much and she did not want to go into restaurants. And I was like, we got to force her into that environment. I guess I really started learning we can't stop our lives just to accommodate her. And that for those that don't know, because of the sensory and all that was going on in the restaurant, it was so overwhelming for her. But I think when we went in this restaurant and one of the people at the front, as soon as we walked in, he said, Mom, they go to school with me. And I was mortified inside because I know how cruel kids could be. And because I relied on him so much, I felt so bad to put him in that environment. And I was just like, are you okay? And he was like, yeah, I I don't know if he was okay, and that's something he can answer, but I wasn't okay. And so I felt like, I didn't want to go and put him in that situation and have people to laugh at him when we go to school. Because as we know, certain things, even though it shouldn't be like that, there's when kids get a hold of something, that one thing can take you to a downhill spiral. It can just change your life overall. So I want Jeremy to comment on that, but I also want you guys to tell me, how did you feel when we went different places, especially places where we were around people that were your peers? Girls, she came over for your birthday parties where your friends was around. Devin, Ryan, she was around, like you said, your girlfriend. she was around your friends. How did you deal with that? And then how did you explain it to them? So guys, everybody take a turn.
Okay. For myself, I do remember that. I actually was okay with it. Honestly, I never really got into any altercations or anything where somebody had said something about her or anything like that. For me, for the most part, it was just, I would say, going different places. Like I remember it was one time we went to the movies and we had to leave the movies early because it was dark and the sensory was getting to her. It was more so things like that. Like we couldn't go to the movies for a long time. When restaurants was a big thing and sound was a big thing, we couldn't go to restaurants for a long time. It was more so just not being able to experience the certain things that, you know what I'm saying, regular kids get to experience, like the regular movies, the regular restaurants, and even birthday parties and things like that. I'm not gonna have everybody over here, you know what I'm saying, near my sister and everything like that. So it was kind of things like that I kind of had to look out for. And I wouldn't say it was easy, but you know what I'm saying, it was an experience. It was an experience for sure.
And I will say that that's how we became one big happy family with the Carries, because there were times that I couldn't take him places that he accompanied Sean and the boys, because I was so keen on him experiencing being young and being not being Morgan's brother, but being Jeremy. That's some things that I was so keen on. And I do appreciate Sean and my sister, because it was never a time where they were like, listen, that's too much. We don't want to have to take him this time. They understood the situation, and Sean will call and say, Paula, what's Jeremy doing? I'm scooping him up. And I just really appreciate how my village, as small as it may have been, not too many people were in it, but how my village was able to be in place so that Jeremy didn't miss out on a lot of stuff. You know, I do appreciate that. So with that being said, guys, go ahead.
I feel like at first, it was a little, I was a little nervous about it because, like you said, kids could be cruel, and like I really didn't want nobody to say anything rude or mean about Morgan, because like I would feel hurt about it. So then, as I got older, it just became a thing as like accept it or don't, because like this is my cousin. You're gonna deal with it or you're not. Like when it came to like bringing like boys around and stuff like that, and they met Morgan, it just became like accept it or don't thing, and I really didn't begin to care.
Did they ask you questions that you had to answer?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was questions where people would be like, oh, that's your cousin, or like, what's wrong with your cousin? And there would be times where I had to explain, like, you know, she has Down syndrome. You know, she's just different from others and things like that. And they would understand. And yeah, it wasn't no times where, well, from what I know, it wasn't no times where people like make fun of her or have something to say. Because even though Morgan came to birthday parties, like at this age now, it would be times where people will kind of understand that, you know, there are people out there that, you know, are different. So like, you know, and people, even though people can be rude, there are people who like, you know, understand and things like that. And Morgan is not really like, you know, she don't like being around a whole bunch of crowds. So that's one thing that she had to that's one thing that she didn't have to get used to. But if it was around a whole bunch of crowds, she wasn't going for it. So.
Yeah, kind of to piggyback off what the girl said, like it kind of got to a point where it was like, I would say it really never bothered me, because it was like, one, I was with all my cousins, you know, it's like I could care less what you think, you know, this is family. I really don't, you know, that stuff doesn't really bother me, and I feel like that's kind of how I've always carried it. Like it's not gonna bother me. I'm not gonna ever be ashamed or feel bad. Like I would feel like sometimes, like say like the sensory issues, and Morgan would like you know, like start like, you know, tweaking out a little bit, like stuff like that. I would feel bad for Morgan, but never like for myself, or like, oh, I wonder what people think. Nah, it's more so like, is Morgan okay? Like, does she need anything? It's like stuff like that. Like it was never one of the means of myself, or, you know, what we look like, you know, stuff like that. I didn't really care about that. That really bothered me.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with everybody, everything that everybody said. For me, like I know anytime, for me, like I test people a lot. I don't like my best friends are sitting on this call right now, with the addition of one that lives down the street from you all. So I don't really have a lot of like close friends. So number one, if you're gonna be in my circle, you gotta accept my family, my entire family, ins and outs, the good and the bad. Because if you my friend, you gotta be like me. You know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, like they said, it got to a point where it was like accept it or don't. And that's, for me, I pay attention to that just because of Morgan being nonverbal. I am highly aware that, like, I watch like my girlfriend now, Asia, I watch how she might interact or how she might move around Morgan. And I pay attention to that highly. Because I'm sensitive when it comes to my family, you know, like, and I'm definitely sensitive when it comes to Morgan on a closer note, because if you act like, oh no, stay away, or not stay away like I'm scared, or I don't know, stay away like, oh my gosh, like she might be drooling or whatever. Like stuff like that don't bother me. Morgan can be drooling, I'll walk right up and give her a kiss on the cheek, you know. So I need whoever is with me to have that same type of love and care. So yeah, I agree with them. Like to me, it is what it is. Either you like it or you don't, and if you don't, you just keep pushing.
I love that Devin said that, especially about, you know, bringing your significant other around and seeing how they interact with your family. You know, that's something I experienced here in my household as well. So I think that is very meaningful because it definitely tells you more about the person that you're interested in, you know, their character, you know, all of that. And I'm with you, Devin, like, when I meet other people with disabilities and their parents are like, no, don't do that to Miss Crystal. I'm like, girl, Drew is Drew. You know, I know it's still a little unsanitary, but somebody loved on my baby. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I just be like, ain't nothing a little tissue can't help. Come on. Like, that's how I just felt, because I just know. And then to hear you just say that, like, come on. Like, I love it. I think that's so beautiful. And the relationship that you all have, that, you know, she's your / cousin sister. That's how y'all look at her. And so how you feel about Kennedy, Kristen, and Caitlin, you feel that way about Morgan. Just as a protector. And just how Jeremy feels about Morgan, he feels that way about Kennedy, Kristen, and Caitlin. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're all protective of you guys and everything. I love it. It's beautiful, and it's a great testament to also parents.
Yes.
It's a great testament to LaShawn and Sean and to Paula. To the parents, both sets of parents, and how you guys integrated the family unit together to be there for one another. How Kristen and Kennedy was able to be a caregiver in the time of need. You know, how Jeremy was like my poster kid. Jeremy already knows this. Jeremy knows this. He is the kid. I think me and Paul was talking, and Paul was telling me something about Jeremy, and I was like, you know, I'm going to help Sean. And I mean, Sean stepped up to the plate, but it was like what Paula shared about Jeremy. And I mean, now Sean was my first babysitter, you know, and it just came naturally. And then Jeremy and Devin, and hearing y'all with these deep voices, you know, Sean has it too. It's like you can command a room, you know, and I feel like that requires, you know, it brings out a response of what you need to take place. You guys are an excellent example for many to look at and to see, and to, because I love, the girls shared that, Kennedy and Kristen were sharing that, you know, people coming into you guys' space, and especially at an age, like, I feel like even though you guys were still young, coming into you guys' personal space, your home, and seeing your loved one, you get an idea of what kind of friend they are. You know, because at this point, you should be knowing people have differences. And if you don't, let me educate you. That's what Kennedy was like. Let me educate you. This is what's going on. Any more questions? And I think that's how it should be. And I particularly have a really good takeaway from Ryan. I have questions, y'all, but I'm helping y'all out. I have a good takeaway from Ryan of being very honest about sometimes it's not I don't have the same experience everybody else is having.
Mm-hmm.
And he let us know. And he's like, I got there.
Yeah.
But he probably was like, y'all helping Morgan. Can y'all help me? You know,
Yeah.
you know, like Morgan is strong. And you're right. Their strength is great.
Mhm.
And so I think that is real and that's important. And these are really good pieces that help a lot of families. You'd be surprised what families struggle with, what
Yes.
siblings struggle with. They're ashamed.
Yes. And it's okay.
It
Start
is
at that place.
You know, it's a place to start, but I think it's hurtful when they're ashamed too long.
I agree.
You know?
That's where there's a point. I mean, do you guys agree? Because I'm going to say, and I've told Jeremy this, I think we admitted one time that at time her behavior was so outlandish. We didn't really understand what was going on. All we knew is when we went places, she would fall in the floor. She would get up under the table. We didn't know. We didn't. And I would sometimes leave in tears. Everybody didn't know that. I would leave in tears and I didn't understand it. But because of the looks that I got, I wasn't ashamed. I was just embarrassed that, you know, when Jeremy did things, when they did things, you could pop them or something and it'd be over. They get an understanding. But with Morgan, there was no calming her down. So it's almost like, you know how the people say, get a hold of her. She is so outlandish, her behavior. So it wasn't the fact that I was ashamed of her. I was kind of embarrassed at the fact that I didn't know what was going on if somebody had asked me, and I really didn't have control of the situation. So I think for me, I was kind of embarrassed at that. But one person that I know, I hope he's listening, but one person that I really want to commend, he's not on here, is my brother-in-law, Sean. My brother-in-law, Sean, we called him John Wayne. He would come up on the scene. He was snatch walking up. And when I tell you, sometimes he could sense how I was feeling and he came to the rescue. Because most people don't know, but she responds differently to men. And I think she sensed his control, his authority, and he really helped me out at times that I did not know what to do. So there were times that, did you ever feel like that, Jeremy, or Devin and Ryan, Kristen and Ken, did y'all ever feel like, not that you were embarrassed of her, and I know we're talking about it at this age where you all are talking about, listen, we got this. I'm talking about when you were young and you felt like, gosh, what is going on with her? I mean, is this not, I mean, just everywhere we went, because we were partners with you guys. If y'all traveled, we traveled. We couldn't go on a vacation by ourselves because I needed help. So I'm talking about like when you were younger, did you ever feel like what's going on with her? Or, you know, that it just seemed like it was something that was just so unmanageable?
I'm going to say no, honestly.
Wow.
Like, because I don't know, like, and Crystal said it earlier, y'all did such a good job in like we were never followers.
No.
Like, we've always been our own people. And I think too, like, this is like, Paula, you know, I'm gonna do Devin gonna do what Devin want to do when Devin want to do it. And it's not gonna be nothing crazy. Yeah, like that's me. So sometimes, and I've learned this throughout life, like playing football, being captains on football teams and things like that. You learn sometimes that everybody's not gonna like your style of leading. And sometimes your style of leading, you might have one or two people that might do something completely off wall. It's life. Same thing we went out with Morgan. Morgan might fall out. Okay, cool. At that time, I was 14, 13, 14, when we started like moving around and going out consistently, like going out to eat and stuff. Like I remember one time specifically in Cheesecake, she fell out, and it was some other people sitting behind us, and they were kind of looking at her. And I was just now coming into like that pride of being a young man. I look back at the dude like, what? You want to come help?
Oh Lord.
But that's how I really feel, and that's how I really take it, because it's like I don't know. I don't get embarrassed of stuff like that. Like for somebody who just can't help themselves. Now that's different from multiple times where we gone to Cracker Barrel and the girls have knocked glasses off of the table. Stuff like that, completely different.
So wrong.
Morgan can't. She couldn't help it. Like it was just too much for her at that time. So I'm gonna say no. That stuff never bothered me, never affected me, and especially at this current age I'm at now. If anybody ever looked or something like that, I would give them the same look. Like, are you gonna come out? Okay, then let's continue to do what we're gonna do. We trying to get Morgan. We trying to calm her down. So yeah, that's my answer to that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, I'm not gonna say there was times where I was embarrassed, but there was times that I questioned like her behavior a little bit when I was a little bit younger, just wondering like why she would try to take off her shirt, why would she try to fall on the floor, why would she cry and stuff like that. And it just became like as I got older again, I got used to it and I understood, especially with me babysitting. I feel like me babysitting her really helped me to like understand her and like understand what she means, like, or why she cries or why she takes her shirt off. And like I didn't really start to have a problem with it. I just knew how to like handle it and knew how to help her and stuff like that. So I think babysitting really helped me to like knock all those questions out the way.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it was in the beginning, it was kind of like questionable, like, dang, I wonder why she acts like that. I wonder why, just like Kristen said, I wonder why she cries, bangs her head, take her shirt off in public. And just like Devin said, there'll be times when people be looking, like if you're not going to help, then there's no need for you to be looking crazy or looking at us sideways or anything like that. So.
Yeah, kind of what the girl said. That's where I'm at. Like I said, my process, understanding Morgan younger was a lot different. So, yeah, I'm definitely like, dang, Morgan, like calm down, like relax. Food's coming, breathe a little bit. But Morgan, just going crazy. But it's like it wasn't until I really started to understand like everything like with Morgan when I started to be like, oh, okay, like like there's no problem, this, that, and the third. But yeah, I would say, yeah, growing up, it was definitely times where I was like, God dang, I'm going crazy, But yeah, that just comes from the ignorance of not really understanding everything.
Yeah. I think for myself, growing up, there will be times I wouldn't feel embarrassed. I would just feel concerned, one for his safety, like as far as banging the head and everything like that. But just concerned overall that is it sensory too much? Is everything that we're doing too much? And if you know, Morgan also she plays a lot, so she plays. So part of it is her playing. Like she'll take off her shirt, and by the time you put the shirt on, she's smiling from ear to ear. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it is playing. Some of it is actually behavioral. So just learning the difference between the two. It was an enjoyable experience, I would say. Just learning her, and then taking it out in public. It's enjoyable, I think.
Wow.
That's good. I love it. So I have a question. Like, have you guys ever been with Morgan and she's in your care or at least in your presence and you really didn't know what to do? Like maybe Paula wasn't around, your parents wasn't around. You was like, oh my gosh, what to do?
Yes. I think like sometimes when she cries or whatever, I just sometimes like I just don't understand why she would cry or like what I can do to help her. It's like I would try to like coddle her and cuddle her a little bit and it wouldn't help. So I just didn't know what to do and stuff like that.
And like sometimes when we were babysitting her, like Paula can even vouch for it. It would be times where we'll be calling Paula while she was out. We'd be like, Paula, Morgan's doing this or that.
Yeah.
Do you know what we can do to like, make her stop? Paula, like just sit her on the toilet or just give her this, just give her juice, just give her bottle, something like that.
Yeah.
So.
And I think I will say one thing that I would, I think Kristen made a great point. I thought you guys were somewhat as distant from her more than Devin and Ryan, because of course Ryan and them were older than you guys and they were around the house more. I didn't know why God did that, but he kind of made it so I didn't have anyone else. And when I started having you guys to watch her, it was so enjoyable to see you guys bonding with her. It just melted my heart. I did, because you guys came at it from different angles. Of course, like for those that don't know, it's a sister that's not on here, their younger sister. But I looked at Kennedy as more of the mother. She was the mother figure. Kristen was the softer, like trying to understand and trying to nurture her. And Caitlin was the I'm not playing games with you, Morgan. No nonsense. But I was able to see each of you guys, but how you dealt with Morgan, but it just melted my heart. The fact that you all took time away from a lot of your friends and everything, and you came over. Of course, I bought them candy and stacked the house with all their junk food, guys.
Of course.
But I just loved that about you ladies. And I think by the time I came home, the house was in one piece. They had Morgan in one piece. They all took turns bathing her. Everybody, when it was time to bathe her, potty her, everything. It was like it was a team event. Mm-hmm. And for me, I thought that was so awesome because I just felt like they didn't have enough time with Morgan. But I thank God for giving you guys that time with Morgan, because I think that was so important and it melted my heart. I've never told you guys that, but it melted my heart just to see you guys take time out. I'm not going to cry because I know Jeremy's going to say that, but it meant a lot to me. It did. And I love you guys for that.
Thank you. I love you too.
I love it. Now I have this question, and maybe Jeremy, Ryan, and Devin can probably answer it better. But Paula, that time I came to the church and Paula went in the church office and shut the door shut behind her, Morgan hit the floor. And I tried to pick her up, and I was like, hold up, hold up. Like, it was like, I was like, to pick Morgan up. She looked like she $105. I was like, hold up. Now I put all my stuff down. I could not get her up. And I said, well, I tell you what, this guy walked by. I was like, do you need help? I said, no, I don't. Thank you. And then I was like, well, let me get down here near her, right? And then the door opened and Paula come out and she stand up. I'm like, we up. Like, I was like, how do you guys, like, Ron was like, she was strong. Like, I could not get her up. I couldn't. Oh my gosh, how do you guys do it?
So before me and Jeremy got strong, we would have to, like, I remember multiple times of like us picking her up and Jeremy's carrying like the front half of her, I'm carrying the back half. We sitting her down. And then like because like Jeremy said, she plays so much. Young boys. So we're like dropping her on the bed, but like giving her some airtime. She's hitting the bed, getting up, smiling, looking at us, falling off the bed so we can do it again. But now, or I should say, like at church and stuff, because like on Paula, you always put her in dresses. So I think she's only fell out on me one time in church. But I learned something from my Paula, which is a pinch. I learned that. So
Devin, shut your mouth. Don't be sick. That's our secret.
I don't want to give all the secrets. But you just pick her up, you throw her over your shoulder, and I just used to like brush her dress down so I make sure that her dress is not showing. She's usually in long dresses anyway. And then I just walk into my Paula's car, and then me walking through the lobby, people just looking at me. I'm like, oh, praise the Lord, how you doing? Praise the Lord, how you doing? Walking out.
Like a sack of potatoes, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my experience, like I said, once again, different. I remember a couple times, because I always felt disrespected when, because first, my dad used to do it at first. He would be like, hey, Devin and Jeremy, help me lift this. Ryan, open the door. So I'm like, I can hold that too, So that's kind of how it was with Morgan. I'm probably like, Devin and Jeremy, Ryan. So one time, I was like, hey, Ryan, like, strap Morgan in her seatbelt. I'm like, bet. And I'm sitting there. Next thing you know, I'm fighting Morgan in there. I'm like, Morgan, stop. Like, I'm like, hold her, trying to just, like, she's in the seat. She's in the high chair. I'm just trying to strap the seatbelt over. I'm like, God, I'm sweating. I'm like, all right, Morgan, seriously, stop playing. And, like, this is, like, around the time I really realized Morgan's strength. And like everybody's saying, she's playing too much, so she's dying laughing. I'm not smiling at all. I don't think it's funny at all. So I'm trying to, like, strap her down. She's laughing. I'm like, okay, Morgan, okay. And I'm, So, like, for me, those were the times where it was like, you know what I'm saying? And it really just took a lot of willpower. Like, I had to stop, lock in, and be like, I'm going to win. You know what I'm saying? Then I really have to, pin Morgan to the back of the seat, strap her down. You feel accomplished. But that was really my battles with Morgan. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my battle.
Ryan, I will say that you stepped up to the plate when Devin and Jeremy went to school. Ryan was the point person. Okay.
Morgan couldn't touch me then.
Yeah, I'm like, Ryan, I need you to handle this. He was like,
Yeah.
Paul, I got you. I got
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I had to hit the gym a little bit, get really right for Morgan, and I was good then. I was straight then.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Morgan is very, 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 very heavy. It was always times she used to go to sleep on the couch and everything, and I had to take her. My mother would call me from wherever I was in the house. Jeremy, can you please bring her upstairs? I just carry her upstairs. But now, just like everybody, Morgan has her resets. Put her on the toilet, give her juice. You know what I'm saying? When she falls on the floor now, I just look at her, I put my 2 hands out, and usually she'll reach up with her 2 hands and get right back up. So it's literally just learning her. She got her little things. Morgan, let's go bye-bye. And she'll go right to the car. Let's go potty. She'll go right to the bike. She knows what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
She knows
She's very intelligent.
She's very intelligent. So I put them 2 hands out, and she knows what time it is. Get up. Bro.
Now, one thing I want to ask, guys, is tell me some advice that you would give someone else on just starting out this journey. Give them some realistic advice on how to weather the storm, whether it's the cousins that's like the siblings, because these are like siblings to Morgan. Give us some advice on what you would tell someone that's just starting out this journey.
I would say it takes patience.
Yeah.
I would say you have to be patient with them. You can't try to force them. You can't rush them. They're gonna be on their own time, and yeah, patience.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, it like with the patience, you have to want to be patient. You can't just say, "Okay, Morgan, get up and do this." You have to want to be patient, and you have to actually care about her and take your time to get to know her, so she can get to know you. Y'all can build a relationship, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Take it slow and work with them.
Yeah, I'd agree. So it was something that you said earlier about how long somebody should be ashamed and stuff like that. I feel like that's a 2-part question, because it's like anything else. Everybody's process and path is different, so it's I would say, the girl was saying, patience is the main thing, but at the same time, you gotta accept the journey. My coach used to tell us enjoy the journey, not the destination. Yeah, it's gonna be hard. There's gonna be days you have days where you man, Morgan, it stressed me out, stuff like that. But you gotta really enjoy them days and understand one, nothing's changing. You know what I'm saying? It's only gonna get better when you get better. Perspective. You gotta be optimistic about everything. That's really what really changed it for me. I know you remember, Paula. We was in Jeremy's room that day, and Morgan bit me. That was my final strike right there.
Did you cry like a baby? I was so mad
at
that.
I cried so hard. We just sitting there playing the game. Morgan comes up, and this is the stage where me and Morgan, we was beefing a little bit. We was having battles because she was winning. I ain't gonna lie, she was winning. So she comes up to me, and Morgan, I'm thinking she's hugging me, she's cracking. I'm like, Morgan, I'm playing. I'm like, oh, hey, Morgan. Morgan bite my chest. I said, ah. So, I'm screaming. I'm yelling. Jeremy beside me, no help, laughing. Laughing. And I'm sitting there, I'm crying. I'm like, Morgan, no. And I'm like, oh, Paula coming. She's like, what's wrong? I could barely get the words out. I'm like, I said, Morgan bit me. She said, and I'm just like, I'm never coming over here again. That was my thing. I'm never coming over here again. Don't want to be over here again. That's my thing. So it wasn't until later, it was me and Morgan had to have a fake intervention. You know what I'm saying? Paula comes down. She brings me in the family room. We talking. Morgan's sitting there. She holding Morgan. Morgan laughing, smiling like something's funny. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there, got ice on my chest. And Paula's talking to me. And this is when I really started to understand. She's like, Morgan's different. And, just you're giving me the talk. You gotta learn to love. And in my mind, I don't want to love anybody at this point. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta learn to accept those moments, because really after that day, I started to come around, and it was Morgan started to pick up on my energy. I started to love Morgan, she wasn't fighting me no more. So stuff like that. It was like you had to, give to give type. So yeah, that's really like what like changed it for me. So I would say like you gotta like really enjoy the journey because that part of the journey I wanted to quit. But you know what I'm saying? We here now,
Yes, I love it. That was
And Ryan
beautiful.
was my baby. He was the youngest boy for so long, and we babied him so much. So even Devin and Jeremy knew when they was here, you better not bother Ryan. I was not playing. So when Morgan did that, I was so mad at her because he was my baby. He was the baby for so long. And I was
Well, Morgan was just trying to let you know who the real baby was.
Hey, she won the war that day. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. But you know what, Ryan? I don't know if you remember, and girls, if y'all remember, but when we used to ride to church, she showed her love to you guys by whoever was in the middle, her holding your hand.
Yeah.
So Morgan did not do that with everybody. One thing and that's when we didn't really understand how she was flying away and she needed to be grounded. But she knew that they loved her enough that when we rode to church or wherever we rode, whoever was sitting in that middle next to her seat, she held their hand.
Yeah.
And she was at peace.
Mm-hmm.
She would definitely hold hands all the time. Mm-hmm. Like even if you just in the house chilling and she walking around with toys in one hand, she's gonna walk. She sees you sit on that couch. She's gonna reach out, grab your hand, and she won't walk you around the entire house. Like, but nah. Just to answer your question, Paula. I think too. Like the older I get, everybody used to tell me all the time growing up, "You look just like your dad. You look just like your dad." Mm-hmm. But the older I get, the more I find myself like acting like him too. So
I do too.
Like, and if you know my dad, like you said, he the type of person that he'd be like, "Hey Morgan, come on, let's go." And he did the same thing with us. Like I remember just growing up, we in the bathroom too long. We about to go to the bathroom. We at a restaurant. He looking at his watch like, y'all better be back in 3 minutes. 3 people, a minute per person. But like, I have that same approach and I have that same approach in life. Like, I really don't outside perspectives and things that's not necessarily what I want to hear, but the goal I'm trying to get to. It doesn't really bother me. So that just comes from me just simply like not caring, like just doing what I feel like is best in that moment. So that's why like when we used to go out and when we still go out with Morgan, it doesn't faze me. It doesn't bother me. When even down to the point where the last time we came to your house on Paula for Jeremy's brunch. Mm-hmm. It didn't bother me if I don't think I brought Asia, but even when the times I have brought Asia, it don't bother me that I never even like when I say, oh yeah, she like, did Jean Paul have kids? Like, yep, she got 2 kids. I got a cousin named Jeremy, a cousin named Morgan. I don't say, oh yeah, but Morgan's disabled. No, because it doesn't bother me. Like it's not something that I feel like should be announced because at the end of the day, when you look at things on the baseline, we're all human.
That's right.
We're all
That's
human.
A great point, Devin.
That is. I love it.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. Do you feel like that, Jeremy?
Well, it's actually crazy. I say the opposite. Like I say, do you have a sibling? I say, yeah, I have a sister. She's autistic. Mm-hmm. I let people know because they might have questions or anything, and then I always direct them. Okay, yeah, advocates say, or if they have questions about just autism overall, you know what I'm saying? I wear it on my sleeve. I don't matter.
That's fine. And I think too, Jeremy. I feel like because Paula, you said it earlier, and I meant to touch on it earlier, but how you will leave the restaurants crying sometimes. Mm-hmm. My level of don't care comes from cousin sibling. Mm-hmm. Jeremy's level of care and your level of care comes from a mother and from a brother. Mm-hmm. So y'all are with her 24/7. Mm-hmm. I might be with Morgan 24/7, but on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Mm-hmm. You know? So I think too, Jeremy, like you saying and you announcing it for your position and Morgan's life is definitely key because to your point, it will be more questions. Like, I will be bringing whoever my partner will be around when it's like a family event or I'm going to drop by, which wouldn't be Sunday through Saturday. Mm-hmm. It might be almost 4 days a week. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's where I feel like it kind of changes. But I do like that because it does allow the room for questions to be asked.
Yeah. And to your point, it was actually funny. I didn't always do that. I always used to say I used to have a sister, sister named Morgan, everything like that. But now what I noticed is it came up a follow-up question. Okay, cool. How old is she? She's 19. Okay, we should go to school. This. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me shut all that down. She's autistic, okay? So she doesn't do the normal things that everybody else does. So when I come out front and say it out front, they're like, oh, okay, she's autistic. So it saves all the other questions and things like that. Now, if they have questions about autism or anything, I can answer that. Or they'd be like, okay, well, it's just you and your mom? Yeah. Y'all take care? Yeah, we've just been doing it for 19 years, man. Okay. So I mean, yeah, for sure, different perspectives for sure.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, one thing that I did remember, and I don't know if you guys remembered this, but I always said, when different health ailments came up or whatever, and I was just like, I feel so bad because I felt as though if something was to happen to me, if the responsibility would be on Jeremy. And one thing that Devin does not realize that I remembered him saying is that Paula, it's not just on him, it's on all of us. We are her siblings.
Mhm.
And I thought that was so, I mean, that just melted my heart. I
Yeah.
do. And because with them, I didn't just hear it, but I knew it, and I knew it not just from the kids, but I knew it from my sister and Sean. I even knew it from you, Crystal. I
Yeah.
knew that God gave me the assurance that if anything had ever happened to me, that I could trust and depend that Morgan wouldn't just be thrown in an institute and
Right.
not be taken care of. I knew that responsibility that they felt, it was serious, because I did have those conversations with Jeremy, and I did have those conversations with the boys, and I did have those conversations with my sister. And I was just like, I just felt so bad with him bearing all the responsibility. But when Devin told me that day, I felt like I was at peace. I was like, Lord, if something was to ever happen to me, I know Morgan would be taken care of.
Yes.
That was a difficult conversation too, though, because understand that I am next in line. Like, yes, I have the whole family to help me and everything like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when what I'm saying, the sun goes down, it's on me. You know what I'm saying? So and I even took that into account when talking about having kids. I don't know if you remember us having that conversation. It was a point in time where I wasn't planning on having any kids. One, for the reason of I might have an autistic, child, and it's more common nowadays. So just thinking about growing up and having to um kind of play the guardian role, the father role in Morgan's life, doing it again, starting over would be huge. It'd be very, very huge. So it was times I didn't feel like I was gonna ever have children. Morgan was just gonna be my only child. But just growing up and things like that and maturing in my mental mindset, you know what I'm saying, it's doable. It's definitely doable. It's definitely doable. And I think that's kind of the goal we have, to help the autistic community to the point where nobody feels alone in doing this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate you for sharing that perspective as well, Jeremy, because I too have a kid that had those same sentiments. Like, I do not want children. This is a lot of work. And, like, you still have more life to live. And then the talk later in life was just like, Mom, if I ever have kids and one of my kids had a disability, I know I could do it because I know I will have your support. And of course, I would be there to support. Now this kid works with other kids, and she's like, these parents, they need to know what you do, Mom, because these parents don't know nothing. I'm like, oh, good grief, but because she's seen advocacy. She's seen how it is to advocate for your child. She see the work that's put in, just like you have seen your mom put in all that work for Morgan, whether it was doctor's appointments, everything. Her trying over and over again. The movies didn't work this time. We sit it down. We try it again in a couple of months. The restaurant didn't work. We try it this way. We're going to keep going until we can get it where this is normal to her. And so I think, you guys have a really good example in front of you, because then, your cousins, they see it too. They're like, we're all going out. It's no us going out excluding Morgan. We're all going out. We're all going on vacation. We're all going to the water park. You know what I mean? Like that, it makes it normal. It makes you guys like, this is life versus something's wrong. This is life. So you guys have really good perspective. Devin said something I really, really like when he was like, I just be like, that's my cousin. Yeah, Jeremy and Morgan. I love that. I took offense when someone said, a relative said, that's her autistic son. I thought, don't be introducing him, but I appreciate your perspective, Jeremy, because I can do that, not you. That's how I felt like. Don't be introducing my baby like that. I don't even know that person. Like, don't be doing that. But if I wanted to do that, because it would explain some things, because I feel what you said, Jeremy, it would explain some things that I know the next question that was coming. So I would give that. So I love it. I'm telling you guys don't know how Morgan has truly impacted your life. I think you do, but I think it's greater than what you really, really know. She has impacted your life. It's how you see the world. It's how you see other people. It's how you let people in your life. It's how you look at people's character. It's everything. It's how you care for other people. Like, she has greatly impacted each of your lives, and you show it and you're exhibiting it today. You know, I'm telling you, that is just beautiful. This is a beautiful conversation with you all.
And I wish everybody had the love and support. This is where advocacy comes in, because I girls, I don't know if you know, but when you all went to school, I cried like a baby. I cried because I felt like Morgan will never get that opportunity. I felt like in some ways I was cheated. That's one of the times I felt like I was cheated. And it was such excitement surrounded around you guys to go to school. I didn't feel like that about the boys. Didn't feel like that when Jeremy went, Devin and Ryan went. But because I think it lined up with you and you all being around the same age as Morgan, I felt like this was a time that I would have been celebrating, and I would have had her going. I felt like you and Kristen and Kennedy and Caitlin, you guys would have been just as close to Morgan as Jeremy and Devin and Ryan was. And I felt like I was cheated. I cried that whole weekend. I did. And I will say that I thank God for my son. I thank God for my nephews. I think Ryan called me that day. I was on the last brink of it. And I cried like a baby. And I felt I couldn't tell my sister, because it was such an enjoyable time for her. And it should have been, but I felt like I was cheated. And I know my sister, I didn't want her to shortchange her happiness for you guys going to school and her decorating your room and doing all of that stuff. She shouldn't have had to downplay how she felt to accommodate me. But I will say this, I thank God for Jeremy and Ryan at the time when I had talked to them, because they gave me a whole different perspective on it. And I love the fact that at the time I was where I was. I cried my way through it. And then I woke up and said, you know what? I love that my baby is accomplishing other things, you know? But I will say that, you know, at the same time, I was sad, because I just felt like, you know, she didn't have that cousinly love like Jeremy had with Devin and Ryan. And she didn't have it where y'all go to the same school and all of that. But I thank God for what she did accomplish. And it took me to go through that period to understand and respect the fact that she didn't go to college, but guess what? She's still cool. She still got a lot going on. So I say that to even all those parents that feel like those milestones. I don't know if you remember, Jeremy. One day, Kristen and Kennedy started walking. Jeremy was younger. And he said, Mom, why can't Morgan walk? She's older than them. Again, there was a time I gave him some little advice, but I went behind the scenes and I cried like a baby, because that let me know at the time he was able to recognize, I think he was 6 or 7. He was able to recognize where Morgan had her shortcomings. And I was like, this is one of many. He's going to start asking more questions. It was, at the time, it was sad for me, but it was really not a bad thing, because it had him to open up his understanding.
Yes.
So those are things I want to bring out to you guys that I didn't, like I said, girls, you probably never knew or whatever. I don't know if your mother told you. I don't even know if I told her, Sean. But I want to just give you guys an opportunity to tell us some closing remarks. Tell us some things that you feel it's very important for people to understand and know about not just autistic individuals, but disabled individuals.
Yeah, people with differences.
Yeah.
I can go. Well, for me, like Paula, like you know, you just came down to my graduation, and like they seen there's a guy named Kenny who I do a radio show with, and I feel like without the experiences I've had growing up with Morgan and having someone like even like Morgan who's nonverbal, and then someone like Chris's kids, Deshaun, who are verbal, you know, and I can talk to them, and it's the same thing, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like those experiences helped me to be able to have the relationship I have with Kenny, where we do the radio show. Kenny was around my family at graduation, and Kenny's 39, you know, but he brings a different level of excitement. And like, you know, when I first got to college, there were people who, that's kind of how he caught my eye, because people were laughing and joking whenever he would come around. And I'm like, I don't think it's funny. You know, I really don't get the joke. You know, maybe I'm tripping. And then I started actually talking to him. We wound up having the same birthday. And that's how we really like got connected and cool and stuff like that. So like, I feel like just the experiences with Morgan is why I'm able to like, you know, go about life the way I do and see everybody as who they are truly. And that's one of the biggest takeaways I was saying. That's why I say my biggest lesson to anybody is just be patient, enjoy the journey. Because Morgan biting my chest that day, that ultimately helped me to build up a love for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And not see people in a different light or a different way. You know, because of
Don't bring that up no more, Ryan. Because that was.
Well, I'm gonna keep changing Morgan assaulting me. You know, I'm gonna just keep adding on to it. But nah, but for real, that you know that stuff really builds you up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeremy. No, go ahead.
So just to piggyback on that, it definitely just caring for more on a day-to-day basis. It definitely made me more caring and loving toward just everybody, even people who might rub me the wrong way or people who are different. It just made me just love and care about everybody on the same level, because everybody has feelings. Everybody wants to be treated nicely. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be respected. So if nobody else is going to do it, I make sure that I'm that person to do that. I'm that person to respect somebody. I'm that person to show love and show that I care, and also to listen to what people are going through. You know, because everybody outside puts on a facade or whatever, but you never know what people are going through behind closed doors. You know, so people could be going through real things behind closed doors. So I always make sure that while I'm outside, I show love, I show respect, and I always make sure I lend an ear to whatever people are going through. Because you never know, you might be the only person to show love, but the only person to lend an ear. So.
Happen.
I know I keep saying it, but I'm gonna keep saying it. Cause wait, the question was, what have we learned, right?
No, it was closing remarks. So what would you keep saying? Maybe that you gonna keep saying it because you keep hearing the same.
That's the problem.
I don't know. I guess my closing remark would be, you know, just being Morgan's cousin, and playing a role that I played like in Morgan's life and assisting and helping whenever you all needed help, or we're over there, you know, just being another extension of a brother. It's helped me like really big in my life. I originally went to school at Wesley College. Wesley College had a college for people who were who had disabilities. So Paula, you might know, that year they were trying to raise money to go to the Special Olympics. Anybody, Jeremy, you know, Ryan, you know, y'all seen me do it multiple times at McDonald's. When people would come to the line, they didn't have money, we pay for them. Boom. Just put my phone on the other side, pay for them. It'd be a mother and her daughter. So whoever, I pay for them, let them have a meal for the day. Well, this particular day, they were selling socks. Every pair of socks was $2, and I think they had probably like somewhere around 50 to 70 socks on the table. And I bought them all because it was for a great cause, you know, and not even thinking like, dang, I'm a college student. I don't just have $140 like that. But instantly when I saw the socks and I saw the Special Olympics, I instantly thought of Morgan. That's where my connection came in at. So fast forward, I go to Delaware State, And Delaware State's a bigger school. They are having like 100 and 200 socks. But at this point, I think my business was doing great. I had a little bit more money flowing. I was like, how many socks I got? It was like, we got 50 right here, and I think we got like 75 more. I was like, all right, cool. How much is it going to be all together? It was like, all together. And from there, I just took the socks. I passed them out to all my teammates. I passed them out to some people on campus. And I had like this big picture of everybody wearing the socks.
Remember when you sent them home to us? We went some to Michigan.
Like,
because I never got mine.
Yeah, you wasn't important. But I got all those socks, and we took pictures.
We sure did.
And stuff like that is important to me, because it raises awareness to people who don't even recognize it. Like, you just moving throughout your life, not even really understanding that there's people out here that aren't like you, and there are things you can do to be a blessing to that community, not necessarily be a healing, but a blessing to that community. And you can like shape the way other people view or other people think by just being that name and going out there. So that was one, like, for me.
I love it.
I do too.
We sure enjoyed that socks drive because we sent some to Michigan.
We still rock mine.
Me too. I love it.
Yeah, no, I anytime like that's more to come in the future, but like a certain amount of like community events that I'm planning and stuff like that, just under my own business, all have to do with, okay, boom, me understand there are people out here who are either less fortunate, don't have the same ability as their limbs or as their tongues, or they're just different than me, you know? So all my whole thinking of that is like what came from assisting Morgan at a young age and understanding that there's people out here who aren't like Devin. So that's what I.
Thank you, Devin. I love that. Girls.
The boys had already said everything. I just feel like I said before, it just takes patience and to be kind and be nice to people, because just like Jeremy said, you never know what people are going through. Even if they aren't autistic or even if they don't have anything going on, you never know what people are going through.
And I think growing up with Morgan and even Crystal's kids, Nashawn, Jael, and all of them, it really helped me to watch how I treat people and talk to people on a day-to-day basis, and make sure I always treat people with care, and make sure I always, like, if I see a disabled or a person who's different on the street, I just don't even think twice. I just treat them like a regular person, keep walking, go about my day. So I think that really played a part in how I treat people, even to this day.
I love it. And I love the fact that we talked about this on one of our podcasts, that a lot of them don't want the extra attention. All they want to do is be loved like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and I don't look at that as a bad thing, because I think some people just want to do something, but they don't know what to do. But all you have to do is just treat them just like you would treat anybody else. So I don't think it's a bad thing, but I just think sometimes we can overcompensate, and then we don't give them the respect that we should give them, because in those ways we can kind of be kind of disrespectful to them, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to tell you guys, as you all already know, I love you all so much. I really appreciate the journey with you guys, because each one of you all play a different role in making it easier for me. I do. We didn't mention Kennedy, how she would come over and braid Morgan's hair for me.
I had to braid her down while she braided her
hair.
It was a tag team.
Again, it was a team effort. You know, again, a lot of what you guys did, I really appreciated, because I knew the ultimate goal was to help me out and make things easier for me, and to show that you love Morgan. And I just want you all to know, honestly, this is why I wanted to do this podcast. Just understand and know that I appreciate your efforts, and I love you all.
Love you.
Yeah. So before we close, I just want to say that earlier today in our advocacy meeting, this is something that we spoke of, how we raise our children no matter what ability. We raise our children how we want to see them. You remember that, Paula?
Yes.
We talked about that earlier.
Yes.
Raising our children, no matter what your ability is, we don't raise you for the right now. You know, like, you know, oh, this ability only allows this kid to do this. We raise, that means we have an expectation. And you guys are an example of what we discuss, how we raise our children, no matter what the ability for the future of the person we want you guys to be, and the expectation, how we raise the bar. And I'm just telling y'all tonight, you guys raised the bar.
Yes.
Kudos to the parents, because we know they put their hard work in. And you guys, when people see you, you are young adults, the bar is raised.
Yes.
Awesome job. Thanks be to God.
Yes, thanks be to God. And with that being said, you see our beautiful t-shirts. So I just need y'all to rally up some support to get some t-shirts, because we need advocacy to be out there, because keep in mind, in closing this out, we are giving money away to a lot of our guests. And as you all knew, Jeremy knew, you guys know, just for Morgan to have a stroller, it was like thousands of dollars. So there are some parents, God is good, because if I didn't have, my family had. But there are some parents that need this support. So we just ask that you guys rally up some support. Go on there, order some t-shirts, get your friends to get some t-shirts, because we donate money to a lot of our families so that they can get the things that they need, but they can't afford. So with that being said, we're going to close out on that note. I know Devin has a clothing business. Devin, I even asked that you, because you do a lot of lessons.
You're not talking about my business right now, Paula.
I know, I'm just talking. Don't get slapped, Devin.
You can't say that on the recording.
But I asked you, I can say that because you owed. But anyway, I just asked that you all just kind of get the support up with your young people, because this is what advocacy is about. We want our voices to be heard, but we also need money to help out these parents. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I love you guys. Thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedule and doing this with us. We look forward to seeing what God has for you in the future. And we just want to say thanks to the Carries for raising these kids, and thank me.
Yes.
For raising this little sexy being right here. I'm just saying that, guys. He knows. All right, y'all. Love you all.
Love you, guys.
Love you all. Bye-bye.